Hello everyone, I'm Chester44, also known as Fly, and welcome to this Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper 2. Last episode, we did a bit of a runaround as we figured out a way to actually get our ship painted. I think this looks nice, don't you? Anyway, with that taken care of, it's time for us to move on with our main quest. We gotta go to Oliveira, a concealed colony. It's our only choice, so let's head over. You find Oliveira exactly where Ankita said it would be, a ragged colony nestled in a crater on one of the biggest rocks of the shoals. Seraphin gets no response to his initial broadcast, and so you find yourself in a docking tunnel, the rig at one end, the colony at the other, with no idea what awaits you. I need you to get back on the ship and keep flying. You freeze in the dark tunnel, a figure in front of you holding a long gun at their hip. I'm serious. Should have been a female voice. Your eyes adjust to the dark, and as they do, you see a man, no, a boy, carrying a long dark shape in his hands. Oh, my mistake. I don't know how you found us, but you need to leave right now and forget this place. You glance over your shoulder and see Seraphin, his hands raised in front of him in a gesture of calm. Look, kid, we mean no harm. How about you go run and get someone? I am someone. I'm Xander. He sticks out his jaw. You I don't know, and I'll decide who's gonna do some harm here. He reaches across his chest and thumbs on a lamp he has lashed there. You blink in the glare of the bright light shielding your eyes, and as you do, you see a flicker of confusion crossing Xander's face. He meets your eye with a look of shock and opens his mouth as if to speak, though no words emerge. We have something for Carmen. You notice a familiar name register with Xander, adding to whatever confusion or question your appearance has provoked. You see his eyes taking in your sleeper body, his gun dropping a little as he takes his attention off it. Is this... He looks between you and Seraphin. Are you here for Flint? He pulls the gun closer to himself. I'll be honest, kid, we have no idea who you're talking about. Seraphin allows himself to drift a little forward. So how about you drop the gun, and we can talk like adults. As Seraphin floats past you, he gives you a look that makes you nervous. Let's all stay calm. Xander? The voice echoes along the docking bridge. Xander, what are you doing? A figure appears at the end of the bridge behind Xander, a young woman clearly older than the boy in front of you. Found these two trying to sneak in, Cadence. Xander keeps his eyes on you and Seraphin as he speaks. Saboteurs, maybe? Was about to send them on their way. I assure you, we are not saboteurs, miss. Seraphin smiles at Cadence. Ah, stop messing around with that welder. She snatches the gun out of Xander's hands, and as she does, both you and Seraphin reflexively flinch. Cadence looks at the two of you with a raised eyebrow and turns the gun so you can see it better. You notice the fuel tank and welding muzzle. It probably has an effective range of less than a foot. Seraphin looks at Xander and rolls his eyes. Seriously? Cadence lowers the welder to her side and turns to Xander. Now's not the time. We just got an emergency broadcast from Carmen and Flint. Something's happened. Xander's attitude changes immediately. He turns to face Cadence, putting his back to you, as if you had just disappeared completely. What do you mean, something's happened? I don't know. Oh, they went quiet in the shoals. All we got was a distress signal. Cadence raises her hands reassuringly. Don't get excited, they probably just had a technical fault on the ship. But we should check in anyway. We have to get them. Xander grabs the welder back and slings it over his shoulder. In what, Xander? Cadence sighs. They took our only functioning ship, the tender tied still in pieces in the hangar. Seraphin gives you a nudge and nods towards Cadence and Xander. This is your chance. We have a ship. Xander wheels around in the tunnel, squinting at you in thought. Seraphin moves past you, approaching them. We need to see Carmen, and it seems like Carmen needs our help. So, how about we stop messing around in this dingy tunnel and go get your friend? Xander turns back to Cadence. Them? Really? We're not the only people on Oliveira. There must be other ships. You want to go looking? They're here now. And they are generously offering to help. She smiles sheepishly. Fine, but I'm coming with you. Fine by us. Seraphin shakes his head and looks at you. Come on, then. You both turn and head back to the ship, Seraphin whispering as you do. What kind of backwater has Ankita sent us to? That kid thinks he's some kind of sheriff. Not used to visitors, I guess. Tucked away in the shoals like this, I'm not surprised. What are they doing out here? What are we talking about? Xander catches up with you and Seraphin. His mood seems buoyed by the prospect of boarding a ship. You wonder how often he gets to leave Oliveira. Oliveira? Oh, you haven't seen the half of it. Xander winks. Wait up! You turn back to see Cadence gliding up at the tunnel. I changed my mind, I'm coming too. Give me a minute to grab some supplies. Just in case. I'll give you a hand. That alright, Sleeper? We'll be there in a sec. He looks at you. You pause, but Seraphin doesn't seem to be waiting for confirmation as he and Cadence head back into the dock. You're slightly thrown off by his eagerness to be helpful. This is the first time you've actually seen him be welcoming to anyone coming on board the rig. When you get to the cockpit, you notice Xander looking wide-eyed at the consoles and switches. Cool ship. After a short wait, Cadence and Seraphin come back into the cockpit. All loaded up. Seraphin pats Xander on the shoulder. Might want to strap in there, kid. Xander and Cadence find a place to settle as Seraphin buckles himself into the flight seat. Alright. Show us where to go. We're just automatically going then. You head out into the shoals, the thick debris field that surrounds Oliveira. What's happening in here, Sleeper? Bliss pokes their head into the cockpit as Seraphin brings the ship in towards the signal coordinates Xander gave him. You look around the cockpit. Xander is tapping at the pilot console mounted in front of his seat in a haphazard way, while Cadence is asking Seraphin about how the rig works. Surprisingly, Seraphin is responding with patience and care. Just some guests. Bliss glances at Xander as Seraphin reaches over and shuts off his console without looking. Isn't he a bit young for this? Bliss turns back to you. Junie is working on the ship's wiring and won't respond to my messages. She's probably in the walls somewhere hooked up to the main line. I'm here, so how about you tell me what we are doing out in the middle of nowhere? Quiet! Seraphin's voice cuts through the chatter. Is that... He gestures out into the debris field at a sparkling, ragged-looking shape tucked beside a rock. Xander rushes to the cockpit glass. Carmen! A moment of tense silence grips the room. That's his ship. You and Bliss exchange concerned glances. This isn't good. I'll bring her in. Seraphin's eyes are fixed on the wreck of the crumpled ship now. We don't know anything yet, so everyone calm down. Xander is silent, his face pressed against the glass. Cadence stares out at the wreck, her cheeks pale. No one speaks until the rig is brought to a stop. Alright, now we're gonna go out there, and we'll have a poke around. Seraphin looks between Cadence and Xander. We verify the ship, and we recover the crew. Seraphin gives you and Bliss a nod, and you both push off and glide towards the back of the cockpit. Suddenly, Xander pushes off from the window and glides with you out of the cockpit. I'm coming too. You need someone to identify the ship, to identify... Are you sure? I'm sure. Xander gets the words out, then pushes on ahead towards the airlock. You follow behind, ready to suit up and investigate the wreck. So it's Xander and Bliss here. He is... Okay, so he's able to take care of something that's missing, and he's engineer. Right, so if you want to have any hope of recovering Carmen and Flint, dead or alive, you need to start at the wreck and work your way out. We can search the ship. The simplest way to find out what happened is a full search of the gutted ship. That's no easy task when part of it has been blasted into debris. And reconstruct events. A crippled ship, holes torn in its hull, and a missing crew. With some thought and careful assessment, perhaps this wreck tells a story. Endure, that's what it is. The search reveals railgun slugs embedded in the interior structure of the ship. Who did this? Okay, that worked. We can reconstruct events. The damage to the ship is chilling, and it's hard to concentrate on the task at hand. The marks on the ship's hull are surrounded by dark streaks. This is no accident, it's weapons fire. On closer inspection, it seems the ship's drive is totally burnt out. The ship was running from something. One more. Long as this isn't a failure... You have a sense of what happened here. It's time for a difficult conversation. The search of Carmen's gutted ship has impacted the mood in the rig. As more and more evidence of an attack has appeared, the quieter Xander has got, and the more Cadence has retreated into the bunks. Now, with the search complete, you are gathered in the cockpit to discuss what's been found. Come on. Cadence floats by the door, hugging herself against the cold. Tell us already. Xander is perched on the back of one of the seats, flicking at some hinged container he found in the wreck. Open and closed. Open and closed. Explain carefully. You start by summarizing the search, talking around the details, picking your language carefully. You describe the damage to the ship, but not the attack. You talk about the occupants of the ship without mentioning what might have happened to them. Seraphine quickly cuts in. What Sleeper is saying, he gives you a look, is that the ship was hit with weapons fire. Badly. Then the drivers fired up and they attempted to flee. The drive burnt out and the ship, after hitting multiple rocks and bits of debris, came to a halt here. We found no bodies. At the mention of that word, bodies, a shudder runs through those assembled. Then they are here, somehow. Xander has a steely look in his eyes. And we find them, whatever state they're in. He looks at Cadence. She nods back at him. Xander's right. We aren't leaving them out here. Carmen made Oliveira what it is. He saved us. We won't come back without him. She shivers and looks at Xander. He would do the same for us. Based on the damage to the ship... They're almost certainly dead, we get it. But there are debris trails leading away from the ship. I've seen them. There are... Seraphine holds his hands out in a calming manner. But those could be from secondary explosions or depressurization. We picked the wrong trail and it could lead us in circles, cycle after cycle. Then we better pick the right one. Cadence has Xander's steely look now, too. She stares directly at Seraphine, challenging him to answer back. Then that's what we'll do. He looks at you with resignation. Whatever happened here, you won't be leaving until you see its end. Okay. So we've got 3. We've got a debris trail here. One of 3 possible trails. It's impossible to know which is the right one without exploring them further. There's only so much you can see from scans. Sometimes you have to explore the debris and pick up the trail from its patterns, or scanning and mapping the debris from the ship will help you safely figure out where it might lead, but it's painstaking work. This one is the same thing. And we've also got this one. Alright, well, may as well pick this. Piece by piece, a picture starts to take shape, not just of an attack, but of a rapid retreat. Right. End the cycle. There we go. Ooh, those are some very good rolls. This is gonna be good. Bliss can't help much. Right, explore the debris. Ooh, that was actually very good. So mapping the debris is slow. Right, explore the debris. That was bad. Alright, go ahead, map the debris here. Oh, what do we got here? Asteroid caves. The trail leads to these barren and airless caves. It's hard to imagine someone surviving in here for long. We can search the caves, forget the trail if the caves are searched comprehensively, then anyone in here will be found, or follow the trail. The caves are dark and winding, but with a sharp eye it's possible to spot a glittering shard of debris. The trail must lead somewhere. Well, this seems to be our best option here. That gives stress if it's not a perfect, but we're fine. I can do a lot here. Okay, this is going to provide us with something very soon. End of the cycle. Give us some good rolls. Not the worst rolls, but it'll do. Search the caves. Tunnel vision and stress. You can use one here. There's a light in the dark, flickering, fading. When the starward trail led to the caves, a little hope was kindled in the hearts of the crew, but after plumbing the depths of these dark passages, that hope seemed snuffed out. Xander has struggled on in silence, only speaking to update Cadence on the lack of news via the comms link. But he speaks now, quietly at first, and then with increasing urgency. "A light, Sleeper! I see a light!" And with that, he kicks off hard from the wall and darts down a dark tunnel with reckless speed. You follow, but the tunnels are winding and you quickly lose Xander around a corner. You kick off from the same wall, trying to close the gap, but when you come around that same corner, you can't find Xander anywhere. And then you see it. Through a thin slit in the cave wall, a flickering, fading light. You cross over to it and see scratches and chunks scraped out of the rock. Someone has dragged something through here. Contact Xander. You click your comms to Xander's channel and call out to him. Nothing but static and silence greets you. A flashing red light on your comms panel suggests the signal isn't getting through. You push away some of the floating rock and squeeze yourself into the gap. As you do, you watch the light pulsing inside the cave, setting the cracks and shapes of the rock in sharp relief. You search those shadows for something recognizable, but the light source remains out of sight. And then you are through. You steady yourself against the wall and look towards the light. There, beside a fading emergency lamp, floats a body, its head instantly striking you as strange and misshapen. You know immediately this must be Carmen. His head is shrouded in an emergency helmet, inflated around him like a balloon, while an oxygen canister floats nearby, attached by a tube. Oh no. His eyes are closed, his body still. You try to settle your gaze on his chest to see the telltale rise and fall. And then the light catches something else, something broken and skeletal nearby. A face with bright eyes. Bright eyes watching you. A sleeper. Another sleeper. They watch you with lit irises, ones just like yours. Their torn face reveals no emotion. They pose crouched, coiled even, like a spring ready to strike. You are both frozen, unsure, afraid. Nothing moves. Your eyes trace the damage to their suit, to their body. They look broken, worn down, and you wonder if this is how you look to others, if they flinch when they see you, as you feel the need to now. "Carmen!" Xander's panicked voice cuts through the silence. He rushes forward to the floating body, and as he does, the other sleeper pulls away from the wall like a statue coming to life. For a moment you go to intervene to save Xander from the skeletal figure, but the sleeper falls on Xander to embrace him, and Xander returns the hug. You float, stunned, watching as Xander begins to carry Carmen's body from the cave with Flint, the sleeper, guiding him. "Carmen is stable." Cadence comes out from the room that has become a makeshift medbay. She looks between you and Seraphine. "Thanks to you." "And Flint?" Cadence pauses, choosing her answer carefully. "Flint is in there with Carmen. They seem to be functional, if that's what you mean." "We should head back to Oliveira." Seraphine cuts in. He places a hand on your shoulder and steers you away towards the cockpit. Once you're out of earshot, Seraphine turns to you. "Did you know Flint was a sleeper?" "No." I don't want to be suspicious. I was just surprised, that's all. They look different. Different how? Seraphine sighs, unsure of his words. Just never seen a sleeper like that. I'll go get her started up. He pats you on the shoulder and then heads to the cockpit. Let's just keep an eye on them, okay? He leaves you floating in the corridor, unsure what to think. Flint is the first sleeper you have met since you escaped the program, and at this point those memories are little more than fragments and fictions. As the rumble of the drive runs through the ship, you can't help but feel a little concerned for what this might mean. And we don't have anything else, so... Yep, we may as well leave. You are left alone with Xander and Seraphine in the docks while Carmen is carefully carried from the rig by Flint, guided away into one of Oliveira's many tunnels and passages. Okay, I believe you. Xander shrugs his shoulders. Seraphine raises an eyebrow. Believe us how? That you aren't saboteurs. Although, you never know. I appreciate that. No problem. He nods to you with the kind of seriousness that only children possess. Tell me, kid. Seraphine folds his arms. Why are you so protective of this place? I mean, no offense, but who'd want to sabotage a tin pot colony in the middle of the shoals? Xander bristles at the comment but controls his anger. You don't get it. Oliveira is a refuge. Why do you think we're hiding all the way out here? He glances at you and then back at Seraphine. I would have thought you'd understand what's at stake here. You've seen Flint. Seraphine pauses, unsure of how to respond. He looks embarrassed into silence. Look, Xander says, playing the peacemaker. You brought Carmen back to us. Everyone in Oliveira will thank you for that. How about you stick around for a bit, get a feel for the place? If you need to resupply, we can help. We haven't got much, but if you chip in, you'll get your share. We're more welcoming than we appear. Just don't expect to buy anything with those chits of yours. Xander puts his hands on his hips. Oliveira is not for sale. Alright, kid, we appreciate it. We need to hang around until Carmen is back up and awake anyway, and I think we'll be glad of the rest. I'll see you around then. Xander touches his brow in a salute and then kicks away, floating out of the docks. A little shore leave doesn't sound so bad. I agree. Alright then, I'm going to head into town and see what's happening. He winks and glides away into Oliveira proper. You are left floating in the docks, unsure of what comes next. It doesn't seem like Lane is going to find you out here, so maybe this is the perfect time to take a breather, at least until you can bring Ankita's drive to Carmen. You turn that little thumbnail drive over in your pocket. Time to see what Oliveira has to offer. So, Oliveira Clinic. Carmen is in recovery and Oliveira will have to navigate a coming crisis without his steady hand. As you leave the rig, you find a figure waiting for you in the docking tunnel. You think of Xander's hostile greeting when you first arrived. Is that him again? Where are you headed? Flint leans away from the wall, now out of the battered suit you first saw them in. The damage to their frame is concealed beneath their overalls, but you're still aware of it, just beneath the surface. Scrap sorting, I suppose. Same. Flint nods in the direction of the colony. I'll join you. You float together through the docks in silence. Flint makes you nervous, and their insistence on intercepting you this cycle hasn't exactly calmed that sensation. Breaking the silence eventually becomes unavoidable. How are you doing? Flint stares ahead, continuing their glide. Better than Carmen. The mention of Carmen's name recalls the image of him floating unconscious in the light of your work lamps in those deep and winding caves. You suppress a shudder. Flint gives you a sideways look, their mask-like face betraying no emotion. It's good you found us. They pause as you both move through a doorway. Could have been sooner, but better than nothing. Looking at Flint gives you an unsettling feeling, like catching your own reflection in a polished hull plate. Is this what others feel like when they speak with you? Watching the crooked mask, the lit irises for signs of human emotion, interpreting the stuttering emulations of facial expressions as they cross your doll-like face? Flint turns away again, and you realize that they might feel the same looking at you. Each the other's mirror, each reminding the other of the gap between being and being seen. What happened out there? I made a mistake, one I won't make again. They frown and stare forward, offering nothing more. You arrive together into the cavernous hall containing the scrap silos, the cacophonous echoing of sorting already filling the air. So, Sleeper. Flint's face curls in amusement as he uses the mononym everyone refers to you by. Oliveira asks all of those at Harvest to contribute to the colony. Show me what you can do. Sort scrap. Excellent. You and Flint glide into the sorting bay where scrap from the silos is delivered to the waiting workers, ready to be checked, cleaned, and cast into the different nets at the fringes of the space. You find a sorting station and begin picking up chunks of ship and machine, turning them over in your hands. As you inspect the scrap, the ghost of their original place in a bigger structure becomes apparent. Each piece suggests a whole: a drive casing, a loading bay, a life support unit. You burn away corrosion with a torch, crack open rusted casings to release the components inside like seeds. You find new life in the broken and discarded pieces. Something makes you look to one side, a glint that catches your eye, and there is Flint, taking a rest of their own. You see a glint again, Flint turning something over in their fingers, watching it spin. A vial of stabilizer. My last vial. Flint speaks without taking their eyes off the drug. Even through the haze of your lost memories, you can recall the fizzing, sickening pulse of that injection, the dependence your reboot freed you from. Saving it for a special occasion. Flint pockets the vial and meets your eye. You don't need a stabilizer, do you? Flint moves away from the wall they were resting against. I noticed you were different from the first moment we met, but I didn't realize what it was until now. The way you work, the way you move, without dependence. I see it now. Tell them about the reboot. You tell them about the process you and Seraphin attempted on Darkside, the one that Lane interrupted. They listen absent-mindedly, watching the workers instead of you. That's not all, though, is it? Flint meets your eye. There's something wrong with you. More than just your decaying frame. Your signal, your presence, it smells different. I'm changing. Flint looks you up and down. I can see that, but I wonder what you are changing into. I know who I am, what I bring to this place. All of these people are at risk because of me. That means you too are a risk to your crew, to me, and more importantly, to this place. Oliveira will welcome you just as it welcomed me, and it will do so in spite of itself and its own safety. I want you to know that, because they will pay the cost, those close to you, and you must know that they pay it for you. With that, Flint turns and glides away, leaving no space for a response. You watch them leave, their billowing cloak revealing and concealing the glinting and ragged parts of their exposed skeleton as they go. Well, that was an interesting conversation, though I worry about the Oliveira clinic. Anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. Next episode, we'll look through Oliveira and see what we can find. Till then, I am Chester44, also known as Fly. This has been a Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper 2, and I shall see you all next time.